Welcome to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Hello and welcome to the MMA Fan Show. I am Blake Harrison. Joining me as always is Stu Whiffin. How you doing, mate?
All good, mate. I'm all good. You all right?
I'm very good. And I'm even better because we're joined by a ranked, and I say that again, ranked number 14 featherweight in the world in the UFC, Lerone Murphy. Mate, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy to be on here with you guys, and that rant sounds really good. I'm enjoying that status right there.
Well, I was going to ask you, like, how does that feel? You've been working. But firstly, apologies to anyone listening to this. If you could just hear bang, bang, bang. We're recording this on bonfire night. There are some fireworks in the background. A Stu, me, probably you as well, Lerone. It's going to go a bit crazy. So forgive us for all the pops and bangs that you might hear in your headphones. But yeah, Lerone, before we get onto obviously UFC 295, you're now ranked. You've been working towards this for so long. How does it feel to have that number next to your name?
It just feels like the warm-up's over almost, and it's like it's time for the real work now. I just know that it's nothing but big fights from here onwards. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited for all the challenges ahead. I feel like there's some big challenges ahead. I'm dying to just get to work.
Fantastic.
And what you mentioned big fights, but like, what's bubbling? What's going on, mate? What have you got? Do you know what's going on next?
Do you know what? I've not heard anything yet because I've been recovering from an injury. I had surgery, so I feel like they're waiting for me to say I'm ready now. And then they'll say here's a matchup. But I feel like any of them fights in the top 15 are big fights. I don't mind who I get. I'm looking forward to any of them fights. But I feel like I'll be probably fighting around February, March time.
February, March. I mean, traditionally, March is a London card as well. I mean, I have heard rumours that the UFC may not be going to London next year, and they might be going a bit more up north around your end. So, so I don't know if that'll be March or July.
You
I don't
dropping
know
the goss all over this
well,
podcast,
you know, I hear things.
No, I've heard a few things myself, and I want to hear the facts though, because it's like I would definitely wait for that card if they come to Manchester. It's like, how can I miss that card? I'm the only Mancunian in the UFC.
Wow, yeah. I'm trying to think. I was like, oh no, but yeah, Aspinall's like Wigan. You're the only Mancunian in the UFC. Then you got to be on that card, then, man.
Exactly,
you have to.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't be Mr. Abu Dhabi anymore. You got to be getting out.
Do you know what I've been dreaming about? Yeah, I've been dreaming about. Obviously, I can't look past anybody, but I've been dreaming about them doing the Manchester card in like July. Yeah, fight somebody in March, one of the guys in March, and a fight again in July, maybe Barboza or someone like that.
Yes.
That would just be crazy. Like that's what dreams are made of.
That's it. And featherweight is a bit of a mad division at the moment in terms of like, really, if you wanted to fight soonish, there's not many people available. Like I was looking at it now, like Bryce Mitchell, Dan Ige only fought a month ago, and I think like Ige or someone like that could be a really good fight for you. Yusuf Barboza had an absolute war only recently, so Barboza probably won't fight till the summer of next year, given that him and Yusuf had an absolute war. Evloev's booked, Giga Chikadze's booked, Calvin Kattar, I don't know when he's coming back from injury, but that could be a really fun fight as well. But Alex Caceres is the only one that I've seen that's not booked, but he's technically ranked one place behind you. Like, but are you just like, I don't care, just anyone in the top 15?
Ideally, I fight someone higher than me. I think everyone wants to fight somebody higher than them, right? But I think it's, as it looks now, I think it could be like looking at timescales, like you said. I think Ige is probably the closest to my timescale. I seen him say, he said he's looking for a fight in January. That may be a bit too soon for me, but I feel like he'll wait a month to fight me. If not, like I don't know. We'll see, innit? We'll see. But anybody, I'll be ready.
Brilliant.
Fantastic. Right, well, you're joining us today because we're going to be talking about what's going down at Madison Square Garden this weekend, UFC 295, which should have been Jones versus Stipe. That is now not happening, and an opportunity has come to our man Tom Aspinall. I mean, first of all, do we start with the Aspinall fight? I mean, I know it's not.
You got to, haven't you?
We got to, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a Brit, an Englishman going for. I know it's an interim, but he's going for the heavyweight title. I mean, this is massive news. So I know that Yuri Pereira is the main event technically, but I think we've got to start with Tommy Aspinall.
100%. And obviously, Tom's took this on a week's notice. Pavlovich has obviously had a full camp because he was the backup fighter for Jones Stipe. I mean, Lerone, if we were to ask you from a professional point of view, what would you be saying to Tom in his approach to fighting somebody that's got serious hands like Pavlovich?
Well, Tom's got excellent boxing himself. I feel like that's his game, right? Good boxing, good jiu-jitsu. So I think stylistically, it's a good fight for him. Pavlovich is dangerous against anybody, any heavyweight. It's just like, I feel like he's just got to go into the fight, be safe for the first round, maybe try to get a takedown, take away that explosive power from Pavlovich, and go look for the submission. It's a great fight. And I'm looking forward to that fight, man. I hope Tom can go out there and do it. I think it's his time. I think he's just the best heavyweight at the minute, other than Jones. And I feel like Jones is coming to the end of his career now. So I feel like if he goes out there and beats Pavlovich, it's just his time. I feel like he'll reign for a long time.
Absolutely. I mean, you said hopefully, it'll take him down in the first round and then move on to the second round. Aside from, I think it was when he fought Arlovsky. Yeah. And I think the same can be said for Pavlovich. I don't think either of them have really got out the first round for the last 6 or 7 of their fights. So, I mean, this has... A little
stat on that is I think Tom Aspinall has the shortest average fight time in the UFC, and the second shortest average fight time in the UFC is Sergey Pavlovich. So this ain't gonna last very long, I don't think. And that makes you think as well. Tom taking this on, as you said, like 2 weeks' notice. Weight's not going to be a problem because he's heavyweight. Cardio probably won't be a problem because it probably ain't going to last very long. But Lerone is like sharpness, that kind of like match fit thing. Like when you've been in a camp for 8 weeks or whatever it is everything just a little bit crisper? Whereas 2 weeks, you're like, oh, you're rushing it all. Like, can that play a factor?
I feel like it just depends. It comes down to, have you been training consistently anyway? If he's, which he will have, he's an elite fighter. He's number 4 in the world. So it's like, he's not going to be taking time off on the sofa, going out every weekend. You get what I'm saying? He's going to be training. So that aspect of sharpness will be there. And then you have to think about it like this. If Pavlovich has been in camp for 8 weeks, who's the fresher guy on the night? Do you get what I'm saying? And that plays a big factor. It plays a big factor. Sometimes the guy that's done the shorter camp comes in fresher, comes in sharper. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that didn't happen with poor old Alexander Volkanovski recently, but it did happen with another Brit in Michael Bisping coming in on 13 days notice and taking the belt off Rockhold. So it can definitely be done, and it'll be so exciting to have another UK champ.
Do you think the boxing is going to be his key to it? Because we've seen Pavlovich just throw like massive shots, but we've seen obviously Tom can hit like a truck, but we know that he's trained with Fury. We know he's boxing. He's phenomenal. He did used to box as well. Do you think his movement, because we see Tom moving so well, do you think that's going to be key to it?
I believe so. I believe Tom's got the speed advantage in this fight. If you watch his fights, he's probably one of the fastest heavyweights I've seen in UFC. Anyway, so it's like, I think it comes down to speed and being safe, because Pavlovich throws a lot of swingy, overhand kind of shots and stuff like that. So just being safe in there. But that's why heavyweight fights are so exciting, because anybody can win, especially the level these two guys are. It's like it's a top level of heavyweight fighting. So it can go either way, man. But I'm rooting for Tom.
Absolutely.
See, I don't know. I don't know what I'd want Tom to do more, because as you say, Pavlovich has got just that one-touch knockout power. We've seen him throwing hands with Derek Lewis, with Tai Tuivasa, and he's come out on top. But I'm like, do you want Tom to be sort of all the way out, skirting around kicks and all that kind of stuff, trying to keep him at bay and then maybe explode in with a 1-2, something like that? Or do you want Tom to be all the way in? Because like Pavlovic's loss to Alistair Overeem was like Overeem actually sort of tripping him and taking him down. And Tom will be much better than Alistair Overeem when it comes to like those body lock positions and getting it to the ground and then doing damage and submissions on the ground. So I sort of want to see Tom put Pavlovich on his back. But how scary is it, Lerone, when you're standing opposite someone that it's been built up for ages, how like, this guy's got that one-touch knockout power. He's got dynamite in his hands. He's got all that stuff. And you're like, right, I've got to be so careful with like making sure I'm either all the way out or all the way in. Mm-hmm. And anytime you got to kind of, especially if you're going for the takedown, you got to enter the danger zone to get there. So like, how scary is that? What's going through your head when you're like, oh shit, here we go. I've got to enter the danger zone to get my game plan off.
Yeah, it's life or death in there. Honestly, it's like I've been in there with big punches myself, and it's like you see these punches come past your face, and you're like, whoa. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like a sledgehammer flying past your face. But it's like you said, all the way in or all the way out. He's got to keep him on the end of his shots with straight shots, long shots. That'll keep him a lot safer. And then when he gets in close to wrestle, clinch up. And I feel like that's the game plan he's going to go in there with. That's the game plan I would go in there with, and I think that's a game plan that makes the most sense.
Well, that I mean, we're talking about that sort of one punch knockout power that that we know that Pereira's got, and we've seen with Pavlovich. Is that a gift, like to have that, or can you train that and better that, or have some people just got it?
Yeah, I believe. Well, I believe you just either got it or you haven't. You can train your technique to become more efficient and add power to your technique and whatnot. But there's some kids that are just born with that. You feel it. Like these guys in the gym that I've sparred with. Some guys have just got that extra foot. Like you know what I'm saying? There's some people who just got that extra foot, and you see it in the cage. Like them guys that have just got that next level knockout power. Them the Ngannou's of this world and the McGregors of this world. Them guys have just got, it's like they've got concrete in the hands, man. They just got a different type of power.
Stu, we spoke about obviously like the fight and all that kind of stuff, but like just off the back of this fight being announced, Dana has, I think, effectively come out and said, look, Jones is going to be out for at least like 8-10 months, whatever it might be. And the likelihood is that this interim title happens, but then Jones still fights Stipe maybe around the summertime of next year. Are you all right with that? Do you think it's okay that Stipe's gone, look, I ain't fighting the backup fighter in Pavlovich, and I'll just stick with a Jones fight? And is it okay that the UFC and John Jones and all that, I mean, it's very possible that the winner of this fight defends their interim title before they get a sniff of Jones or Stipe. Stu, are you all right with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's the UFC and they make big fights, and the money, as much as Tom, he's a big star, at the moment he's not John Jones or Stipe Miocic. Stipe, arguably the greatest heavyweight ever. If he's going to come out of, semi-retirement, whatever he's been in, and he's going to come back, what I think will be his final payday, and he wants that to be John Jones. I don't see him coming back to fight Tom or Sergei. I think he's just going to go for the big kind of send-off and the big payday. What about you, Lerone?
100%, exactly. I agree with you totally there. I feel like them guys have earned it in the UFC. They've been around for a long time. They've gained that respect. It's like, how do you want to go out? Do you get what I'm saying? It's like it's legend versus legend at the same time. It's like, who's the GOAT? Who's the heavyweight GOAT? So it's like, it's a fight everybody wants to see. And why would they then risk Aspinall versus Jones or Aspinall versus Stipe, and we never get to see the Stipe Jones fight, right? Because the UFC must also know something that we don't. They're probably both on their last fight as well, which I think rumors have been circulating about that. So it just makes sense. It just makes sense. Let them two fight. Let Aspinall fight for the interim. But I think it should have been just like a #1 contender fight rather than an interim title. But yeah, I think it just sells a bit more, doesn't it? If they're fighting for a belt.
Yeah, it does sell a bit more. And I think also what it does is if those rumors are true and both Jones and Stipe retire once they fight, they just make whoever's the interim champ the undisputed champ, and it's just a bit cleaner, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I'm not sad about this change up at all, because I was never into the Jones Stipe fight. Like, I understand the legacy of, you know, the greatest ever fighter to fight the greatest ever heavyweight, and I get that it would have made loads of money, so I understand why it's booked. But
what's not
I've
to
got
like?
I've got no interest in Stipe Miocic coming off of, like, firstly, a knockout loss. Secondly, 2 years on the couch. And thirdly, he's like 41, 42, whatever he is. I know he's a legend, but I don't feel like he would really do much to Jones. And then Jones has got, I don't know. I want to see Jones properly tested. Like, if he really is the greatest to ever do it, which he might already be. But can you imagine if he's like, yeah, I won the belt of Cyril Gane, then I'll take on Sergey Pavlovich, and then I'll take on Tom Aspinall. And if he won all those fights, you're like, there's no question anymore. You can't say GSP. You can't say Anderson Silva. You can't say Demetrius Johnson or whoever you're saying. You're just saying, nice, it's Jones. But if he beats Stipe, who's 41 years old, 2 years on the sofa, I'm like, that doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't make me think Jones is better than what he was before. I don't know.
In my opinion, he's already earned the right of being the greatest fighter of all time, in my opinion. But I do get what you're saying. If he does, like, the age is at now, if he comes in and beats killers like Tom Aspinall, young up-and-coming killers, like, how can anybody deny that? Nobody, there can't be no sort of opinion on that. Like, it makes sense. But I would like to see him. I would like to see him fight Tom.
Well, he's come out in like an Instagram post, and he said the two fighters he's most excited about are Sean O'Malley and Tom Aspinall. And it makes you think maybe he's kind of building, like, I don't know how it works. I'm sure people's minds do work like this when so many millions can be made. Is he laying the groundwork going, okay, let me let my fans know to watch out for this guy? Because then they start watching him. He builds his fan base. And all of a sudden, if John goes away for like 18 months, 2 years, Tom's got an interim title defense, then he's the undisputed champ. And then Jones goes, do you know what? I'll come back at however old he might be, 39, whatever, I don't know. And he goes, I'll come back for another big payday. Then he's going to make way more money if Tom's a star than what he would if he fought Tom just as like an up-and-coming contender. So maybe it's smart business. Who knows?
Well, look, I guess all three of us wish Tom all the best in this fight. And has anyone else got anything they want to add to that, or should we move on to what is the headline fight, which is Yuri versus Pereira?
I just want to make sure you're okay, because it sounds like someone's got an AK-47 right up to your house.
I was thinking the same thing.
It's like they're coming.
It's going off. It really is.
It's really getting off. But no, I mean, other than an official prediction of, I think Tom gets a finish, and I'm going to definitely be backing Tom. Lerone, I'm assuming you're backing Tom.
Yeah, I'm backing Tom. I think the fight definitely doesn't go the distance. So yeah, I will back a Tom Aspinall finish too.
Do you think sub or KO?
I say submission. I'm going to go submission. Yeah.
You're nodding along there, Stu.
Yeah. I think they're going to both sort of. I think Tom's going to be on his toes a bit in the first round, just kind of moving about and getting the measure of it a little bit. And then I think there'll be some heavy shots before the end of the first, but I think Tom takes him down and chokes him in the second.
Nice. Well, best of luck to Tom Aspinall. Shall we move on to what is actually the main event and a fight I've been so excited about for a long time? Yuri Prochazka, Alex Pereira. This is going to be an absolute banger. Stu, you must be as excited about this fight as I am.
It's a monster scrap, isn't it? I went back before this and watched Yuri versus Glover again, which is an incredible fight.
It's nuts.
It's so good. But one of the things, the positives and the negatives, right, that I saw from watching Yuri there, and the negative, he keeps his hands quite low, the way that he fights. But fuck me, he's got a chin on him. Some of them shots that Glover caught him with, he has got a granite chin. So he's going to need that when he's fighting Pereira. But I think that was the sort of, coming into this, I thought I'm going to watch that fight back and just kind of get the measure of Yuri Enkley. He's been away. He's been away for a long time. And I mean, obviously, Lerone, you've had your injuries over your career, and how much does that affect affect, coming into a fight if you've been off with an injury?
It affects you massively because this is MMA, this is combat sports where it's like 1 versus 1. It's not like football where you can kind of let rely on your teammates to carry you through the game. It's like you've got to be on your job when you're fighting. So it's like, and you're coming straight back into the top level, a title fight at the top of the top level. So it's like, I feel like you can almost lose a step of that competition. I've heard Dominic Cruz say there's no such ring as ring rust, but I believe there is. It comes down to sparring a lot as well, getting the right sparring and stuff, maybe traveling for sparring. I don't know if some guys do that at the top, but you definitely don't come in the same. I feel like you even see boxers do it. They have tune-up fights and stuff like that. So it's only the UFC where we don't get tune-up fights. We go straight back into the fire.
Yeah, I mean, one other thing that really strikes me about this is the difference between them is Yuri is on like a 13-fight unbeaten streak, not lost, I think, since 2015. And Pereira has only actually had 10 MMA fights. So Yuri's win streak is longer than Pereira's career. And not only that, in his 11th MMA fight, not UFC fight, in his 11th MMA fight, Pereira could be a 2-weight world champion in the UFC. That is absolutely bananas. That's mental.
Wow, that is next level. He fought Jan Blachowicz last, right?
Yeah. Quite a close fight from what I remember.
It was. It looked decent in that, but I feel like this is another step up in competition. I know Jan's been a title holder before, but I just feel stylistically, Yuri's going to pose a lot of different threats than Jan Blachowicz.
Yeah. He's chaotic, isn't he, Yura?
Yes.
Are you about to say, how do you prepare for someone like him?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Because he's just a tornado of elbows, knees, and top knots. It's like, what can you do with Yuri Brajka? It's just nuts.
There's no way of preparing for people like that because it's like they don't even know what they're going to throw. So how are you going to know what they're going to throw? Do you get what I'm saying? There's like throwing just like wild stuff. But like you said before, he carries his hands low. He takes a lot of shots. And Pereira is one of the biggest hitters in that division. Even though he's gone up, he's one of the biggest, hardest punchers. So I can't see him going the distance this fight. I feel like he's going to get knocked out,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you're talking about Pereira moving up. I don't know how he ever made middleweight. Like, he looks like a beast at light heavyweight. How he made middleweight is absolutely bananas. But I cannot wait for this fight. I can see it like sort of going either way. I think there's like the chaos of Yuri, could just hit him with anything. As I say, a flying knee, an elbow, anything. And I think he's going to come forward the whole time. But equally, Pereira, like Pavlovich, has got that kind of death touch on him, and he can just put you to sleep with one strike. And he's a good, very, very good, world champion kickboxer. Yeah. Could easily time a counter strike and land on his chin. And as you said, Stu, Yuri keeps his hands very low. He was rattled in the Dominic Reyes fight that he had and stuff. It really could go either way. I have no idea which way this fight's going to go.
Do you think there'll be much grand sort of action on there? Do you think like Yuri's going to try and take him down?
I think he would be smart too. We've already seen that Pereira has an average ground game. I feel like that if he's got any weakness, that is his weakness. It's his clear weakness. It's a clear route to victory. I think Yuri's going to mix it up and definitely wrestle. He's going to throw some wild strikes into takedowns or whatnot. I feel like that's the route to victory for me. If it's going to go anywhere, definitely try tire him out on the ground, look for a submission, and then he levels out the playing field when you get to stand up again. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, he's lost the explosiveness and he's a bit more tired, and then he's worrying about the takedown too. It's mixed martial arts, not K1. Do you get what I'm saying? So it'd be smart for him to go out there and wrestle a bit at least.
I think maybe that's smart. I don't think Yuri's going to do it though. I think he's just going to go crazy, and that's why I'm excited. If he shoots for a takedown, I'll be disappointed. I want to see carnage. That's all I want to see.
Lerone, does that ever happen where, like, you're fighting somebody like Pereira, where that his strength is is his kickboxing and his hands. You know, and however good you are on the ground, do you think does sometimes ego get involved and you just think, do you know what, fuck it, I'm going to try and beat him at his strength? Does that ever factor into fighters' brains, do you think?
Not so much mine, but I've heard a lot. I've seen and heard a lot of fighters just do that. Oh, I'm going to try and beat him at his game and stuff like that. I just feel like it's best to go the easiest route to victory in this fight game. Like anything can happen in these small gloves. Anything can happen. We've seen it time and time again. So it's like try get in there, take as less damage as you can and win the fight, finish the fight. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, for fans, us fans, when we're watching the fights and stuff, we want to see carnage. We want to see hell break loose. Like we want to see stand-up wars, Gaethje type. That's why they're fan favorites. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they're exciting. But if you're going into a title fight, I feel like the best way is to go and try and just win the fight, innit? So wrestle.
And it's the fairy tale. Go on, it's the fairy tale. If Pereira can take the belt back off of Yuri and knowing that he's got Glover in his corner, like that's a lovely little fairy tale ending. That I'm loving that.
Do you reckon that plays on his mind, like in terms of like, you know, getting revenge for your coach? Do you reckon that will enter his mind?
100%. I've seen Pereira and Glover. They're like brothers. So it's like they're very close. So when your teammates get beat, it's always a sweet feeling to go and beat them back for your teammate and get one back for him. So I feel like that'll definitely be on his mind. And I feel like he, in his post-fight speech, he'll be talking about that for real. I know for sure.
Love it.
I would love to stay on the fence for this fight, but I think we should all get off the fence and make an actual prediction. Stu, who's going to win?
Yuri. I think maybe third round. I think he's going to knock him out.
Lerone?
Before we had this talk, I was going to say Pereira, but we had this talk and we've kind of broke down a few little bits about the fight, what have made me think. And now I'm going with Prohaska, even though he's the underdog.
Knockout?
I can't. No, don't know. No, I can't see him finish. I can't see him knocking him out. Maybe decision.
Okay. What about you, Blake?
I was leaning Prohaska, but you know I'm not a sheep, guys, so I'm gonna go Pereira. I genuinely think it could be either of them, but I'm gonna go Pereira. I think there's very big possibility that Prohaska comes at him jumping around and doing all sorts of crazy stuff with his hand low, and Pereira just times one on his chin. And that's it. Good night. He's just there, slept in the middle of the octagon. It could very easily happen. But really, do you know what'll happen? I've been so excited about this fight. I know what's going to happen. They're going to go into like a little clinch within the first 30 seconds, and Prohaska's shoulder's going to pop out of his socket. And then we're all going to be like, oh, no.
That's the worst one.
Terrible one. And light heavyweight has got really bad luck at the moment. We haven't talked about this enough. Prohaska and Glover, obviously Jones leaves. We end up with Prohaska Glover at one point, which was, unbelievable fight. But then Prohaska's injured. Then there's the draw between Jan Blachowicz and Ankalaev. That allows Jamal Hill, as you say, to come in. Yeah. He wins. And then he gets injured. And now we're here. Like light heavyweight is cursed at the moment. So we could have something crazy happen.
The reason I want Pereira to win as well, obviously I like him as a person as well, but I want to see him and Jamal Hill. I think that would be fireworks.
Yeah.
That's a banger of a fight.
That is, and I think it's like, to be fair, I'd watch if you said to me Prohaska Jamal Hill or Glover, Pereira Jamal Hill, sign me up all day long. Yeah. I think both of those absolutely cracking fights. And I'm kind of hoping that for the craziness, I want to see Johnny Walker beat Ankalaev if that fight's rebooked, because as much as Ankalaev is really, really good, he's not as entertaining as imagine Johnny Walker versus Yuri Prohaska. That is just
wild. That is wild.
I would love to watch that fight so much. So that's wild. What I'd like to see. But
you wouldn't want to be the ref in that fight, would you? You would be getting out of the way constantly.
The ref's got to wear a helmet.
Oh, there's going to be some strays in that one. Right. Let's move on, if we can, to Mackenzie Dern, Jessica Andrade. Andrade really, really active lately. This is her 5th fight this year.
Wow.
But she is on a
streak.
But she's on a 3-fight losing streak. But it's like it's one of those things.
Killers, mate.
Well, that's the thing. She's only 32, but she's had something like 25 UFC fights, not just fights, 25 UFC fights. Wow. At 32. She's fought the best of the best. Like, is she on the decline? Is she wearing down now, even though she's only 32? Or is it just that she has fought 3 absolute killers? She fought Yan Xiaonan, who's #1 contender for the strawweight belt. She's fought Tatiana Suarez, who's an absolute beast in that division that could very easily be a champion within the next year. And then she fought Erin Blanchfield, who arguably is the best flyweight in the world right now. She just hasn't quite got her title shot yet. So she's not losing to Muggs, as you say, but I think Mackenzie Dern is a level down from that group of people that we've just mentioned. So I wonder if this will really tell the story of exactly where Jessica Andrade is at the moment. Lerone, you got any thoughts on this fight?
I feel like it's a good matchup. Like you said, it's a level down from the fight she's had 3 previously. Mackenzie's a very good grappler, though. She's been getting, Andrade's been getting out-grappled very easily recently. So, and I also said, like you said, 5 fights this year. I feel like she's just at the point where she is. She don't think she's going to be champion. It just is what it is. She's just fighting, just staying active. I feel like she's just done it all, hasn't she? Really, she's kind of done it all. She's been there, done that. She's just fighting now. She's almost like, I don't want to sound disrespectful, but she's almost like a gatekeeper now.
Yeah. No, I hear that. Stu, what's your thoughts?
I kind of echo what Lerone says. I think like she's been so active. I think she's just going into training camp, rather than kind of recovering and maybe sort of getting back in the gym and training on techniques and stuff. And I think that, I don't know. I don't necessarily think. I think Dern's going to struggle to take Andrade down, but I do think Andrade will win this fight. I do think that her hands. It's the biggest step, as you know. We sort of touched on that. It's definitely the biggest step up to date for Mackenzie Dern, and I think she's, yes, she's coming off of 3 losses, Andrade, and we spoke about who those people are, but she has got dynamite in her hands, and I do think that this is a big test for Mackenzie Dern. What about you, mate?
Yeah, I think Mackenzie Dern's got that kind of jiu-jitsu style that, like, I find it slightly frustrating, and I don't know what it is, but it's like you watch fighters that are like unbelievable jiu-jitsu practitioners, but they haven't mastered taking people down yet. It's almost like they can get an overhook or whatever and pull guard, or if they're being taken down, then they can, do their thing. But I feel like there's so many people like Damian Maia, and with all due respect to him, and I love the man, Paul Craig sometimes a bit like this, where he wants to fight on the ground, whether he's on his back or on top, it doesn't matter. He's lethal down there, but just that they don't seem to be able to really get that double leg going or that single. And I don't know what it is, because I just don't know enough. Lerone, maybe you can enlighten me on this, on what it is. Like, why some of these great jiu-jitsu practitioners just sometimes really struggle with the wrestling side of getting it to the ground?
Yeah, from what just popped into my head then from a quick thought is like, because they've spent so much time in jiu-jitsu, they've not spent any time in wrestling, and these people are like elite level jiu-jitsu. Do you get what I'm saying? It's the only people that have like jiu-jitsu and wrestling are like the Dagestanis that have trained a wide range of martial arts from young. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like they're the only guys that have that full game. But I do get what you're saying. There's a lot of jiu-jitsu people, mostly the Brazilians, that are just like straight jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, no wrestling.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? And I think that's kind of Mackenzie Dern's style.
Yeah, I feel like I can see Mackenzie really struggling to get this fight to the ground. And I hope this doesn't sound disrespectful, but I feel like Mackenzie's striking's really improved under Jason Perillo. We saw it, I think, in the Angela Hill fight where she's really improved her striking, got a lot better. But previously, I feel like I've seen her have a little bit of timidity. She's got a little bit worried about being in the pocket with people. And if you're in any way concerned about the striking exchanges, the person you don't want opposite you is Jessica Andrade, because she will lay those punches thick and fast on you. So, yeah, I agree with you, Stu. I think Andrade gets this done because I can really see her cracking Mackenzie Dern early and Dern just being quite rattled by that and just having that thing of like, I'm going to try and clinch up and just pull guard and it's not going to work, and Andrade's just going to stand over her, and I think it's going to be a tough night for Mackenzie Dern.
Yeah, I agree. Lerone?
Well, I'm not a sheep, so I'm going to go with Mackenzie Dern.
Good man, good man. Well, look, let's move on to your division, Lerone, and it'd be interesting to know how much you keep an eye out on fellow featherweights. Like we've got, unranked, but Pat Sabatini and Diego Lopez. Now, I didn't know anything about Diego Lopez until he came in on short notice to fight Movsar Evloev. And then I was like, oh, shit, this guy's really good. Talk about good jiu-jitsu. He's really good. He looks big for the weight class as well. Do you pay much attention to the guys in your weight class, even though they're a bit maybe lower down the rankings?
I watch everybody down to the contenders because I know whether you're going up the ladder or down the ladder, you're going to come against some of these guys at some point. Do you get what I'm saying? So I like to just keep an eye on everyone. And like you said, I watched this fight against Movsar. I didn't know anything about him beforehand. And then I was shocked. I was like, wow, how come this guy's not been in the UFC already? Like, where's he come from almost? And he looks very, very good, very dangerous. I reckon he'll be in the top 15 after this fight. I think he'll get a shot at the top 15 after this fight. So I'll be watching that fight. I'll be keeping a close eye on that fight. I think he takes that fight. I think he's a better grappler than Sabatini, and he's got better stand up than Sabatini. So I think he's better than him everywhere, to be honest.
Fantastic, Blake.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be an interesting one to see what Sabatini does, because obviously we saw in the Evloev fight how good Lopez's jiu-jitsu is. Like, he nearly got an armbar like twice. There was like a heel hook attempt. He's really dangerous off his back, and he seems like a big guy with half decent Muay Thai as well. But Sabatini seems to do quite well in the wrestling exchange. It's like, do you back your wrestling and do you get on top of him and try and do the ground and pound despite how dangerous that might be? Or do you go, even though it's my secondary skill set, I'm going to keep it standing because this guy is so dangerous on the ground? It's going to be really interesting to see how Sabatini plays this.
Well, you seen the fight with Hamzat and Gilbert Burns, right? It's the same. It's a similar style stylistically, and good. It doesn't matter if you're a good wrestler or whatnot. Like, you don't want to go down there with them kind of guys, because over 15 minutes, one of them submissions, there's a good chance it's going to come off. Evloev was just fitter than him. He was in camp, obviously, at short notice. I think if them two fought on a full camp, it's a different fight. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a really interesting one. Stu, have you got any thoughts on that fight, or do you want to move on?
I want to get on to the God of War, because Benoit Saint Denis, I can watch him all day long. I mean, this guy, I mean, Blake, I know you're a big fan. Lerone, are you a fan?
Yeah. The first time I watched him live in Paris, and I was so amazed with his performance, and I thought, wow. I was like, is this guy ranked? I'm asking guys, is he ranked? He's not even ranked. I'm thinking he's got a big future, man. He's well-rounded. He comes forward and he's entertaining, man. I'm looking forward to that fight. That's a banger. That is a banger.
So you was cage side for the Diego Moses fight?
Yeah. I was. I seen it live.
Sounded amazing.
It was, and it was just like, actually being there is so much different than watching it on TV, because it's like, it's real. Like, you're seeing like the blood. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, you're just actually there, and then like the atmosphere as well. Them French fans is just like different class. The best fans I've ever seen, I've ever witnessed, ever, by a mile.
Wow. And they love Saint Denis as well over there. I remember in the Paris card they had the year before, how nuts everyone was going for him as well. And I mean, he's only lost one fight, and that was a short notice fight up at welterweight. So like, he's unbeaten at lightweight, 4-fight win streak in the UFC. And as you said, demolished Moises. He seems to be like one of these guys that can go in there and have an absolute brawl with you, but all of a sudden turn into like an elite level wrestler. And like he seems to have it all. Ex-French special forces as well, which probably doesn't help with your hurt with your mindset, you know. But I mean, look, Frivola is another one of these guys. Frivola seems to like relish a brawl. He loves being in the pocket. He loves taking one, giving one, slipping one, giving another one. Like that's how he operates. And you know, it's done relatively well for him. Like last 4 fights for Frivola have all finished in the first round. One of them was a loss to Terence McKinney, but now he's on a 3-fight win streak. And he, as I say, he just loves a brawl. And I really think this card is opening in the best way. Saint-Denis and Frivola is like exactly what you want to open a main card, to just go, there you go. This is what we're all here for. And it's just going to be mayhem and set the bar. That I mean, I'd like to say it's potential for fight of the night, but I don't think it goes long enough to be fight of the night. I think it's a performance for whoever lands that shot.
This is the fight that the casuals that probably don't know who they are going to be going, who the fuck are these two guys? What is going on here? That's the fight. That's what that's going to do. I mean, you know, Frivola stood and had a big old brawl with Drew Dober, who's got big hands as well. And so I think, you know, we're in for something really, really special with this fight.
Yeah, it's an excellent fight, and it's like Frivola, like you said, he lost to Terence McKinney, but that can happen to anyone. It's the first punch of the fight. He got caught cold.
Yeah. It was like 6 seconds, but it's 6 or 7 seconds. It was so quick.
The first 1, 2, 3, he knocked him out. And it's like, I feel like that he needed that because he's grown and he's looked 10 times better ever since. Do you know what I mean? So that matchup is crazy. I can't even pick a side. I'm sitting on the fence for that one.
I'm going to go Saint-Denis just because I really love him. I think he's a bit younger as well.
Yeah.
And also the fact that he's unbeaten at lightweight and Frivola has had a loss or two. I'm going to go with Saint-Denis. But if Frivola lands that shot, I will not be surprised at all. I really want to see Saint-Denis do well. He just seems like a really exciting fighter. And he's young as well. He's only 27 or whatever. So yeah, I think there could be some, if he gets like a bit further, like it gets ranked and all that stuff, which he will if he beats Frivola, it'll be like 14th, then he can progress from that. And if he's got that French crowd behind him, like every September or whenever they're doing these cards, and he's up there in the top 10, top 5, that's going to be some really cracking nights in Paris, I think.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you as well on that one, Blake. I think that, you know, he's such an exciting fighter, and I think we're gonna see him do something fantastic. I think we're gonna see him get a stoppage over Frivola.
Yeah, I think so too. Look, I don't have a huge amount to say about the prelims of this card. I think they're fine, but I think one thing that stood out to me is Steve Erceg against Alessandro Costa, just because I really love Steve's story that he came in on short notice and fought, I think it was David Dvorak, who was ranked, and fought him on short notice in his UFC debut, and is just doing a bump straight into the rankings. And the fact that he looks like a young Steve Carell is absolutely brilliant. He looks like he should just be doing The Office or something like that. He's absolutely fantastic. And it reminds me a little bit of like Ryan Hall. He's just that guy who you're like, this guy's not a fighter, and he's just like there, like just like winning a fight and just going, yeah, I did that. Yeah, just shrugging. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I'm the guy that looks like this, but I win fights. It's strange. But I love that. So yeah, I want to see him do well. Costa, though, should be a really good fight because, I mean, Costa lost in his debut to Albazi, and we've seen Albazi smashing it, doing well. There's no shame in losing to Amir Albazi. And then he beat Jimmy Flick in his last fight. So yeah, could be a really good fight. This one is really interesting because you don't know what Steve Erceg's really going to be like.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's actually a good few fights that I've seen on the prelims. To be fair, the Borshchek and Sadikayev, that's a good fight as well. Lightweight. Have you seen much of them too?
Is this Slava Claus?
Yes.
Slava Claus. Yeah, he does the little Russian dance, doesn't he? At the end of winning. Yeah.
But the kid is fighting. I think he beat Terence McKinney recently, maybe, if I'm right.
Yeah, I can look that up for you, mate.
Azerbaijani guy, he's good. He's good, technically sound, very good.
You're absolutely right. He beat Terence McKinney in his last fight. Look at you, Lerone, dropping the knowledge.
Yeah.
Look at you. You boffin. You've been doing your research and you've been revising, haven't you? But that's it. And Terence McKinney's one of those really interesting fighters, isn't he? That like it's very rarely is it going to go to a decision, and it's either you test yourself and get past him, or you get put back in quite a devastating fashion. So that is, they say that is a good one. Stu, is there anything on the card that you wanted to talk about outside of obviously the card?
For me, it's quite top heavy. I think the main card is so exciting, and but yeah, I'm half the time you watch the prelims and you just get absolutely surprised and shocked by some gems there. They're matched right, and you just get some absolute fireworks. And incidentally, mine seem to have stopped now, which is now we're getting to the end of the podcast. My fireworks have stopped. Before you go anywhere, Lerone, we've obviously got some big fights of British fighters coming up, and I'd just like to sorry, Blake, was there any more fights there you wanted to talk about?
No, I always think it's really important to make sure we talk about any ranked female fighters on the cards when I think they get looked over quite a lot. So I just wanted to shout out the fact that Tabitha Ricci ranked 10th against Lupi Godinez, ranked 13th in the strawweight division. Ricci's on a 4-fight win streak. Godinez on a 3-fight win streak. And the only reason I really love Lupi Godinez is because every time she wins, she jumps into the arms of Michael Bisping, Joe Rogan, or whoever it is. And I really love a gimmick. Any kind of little gimmick that you can get as a fighter. Lerone, I don't know if you're into this stuff, probably not. But any little gimmick you can get as a fighter where you do a shoey or you jump into the guy's arms or whatever it is, I'm into it. It makes you more memorable and it makes fans like gravitate towards you a little bit. So good luck to both of them, because, the winner of that fight's on a really long win streak and could be looking at a big fight in the top 10 coming up after that, maybe not far away from a title shot if they win that. So always good to shout them out. But Stu, what were you saying?
I just want to pick your brains quickly, Lerone, on how you see these fights going. Some big fights that are coming our way soon for UK fighters. Paddy versus Tony. How are you seeing that going?
It's a very strange fight, to be honest, because obviously Tony's on 6-fight losing streak, and Paddy's won 3 in a row. So it's just a matchup that never happens. But Tony's still dangerous, man. I think everyone's counting Tony out to be done. I think he's way past his time, but I think he's still dangerous. It's still a dangerous fight for Paddy, but I think Paddy gets it done. I think Paddy gets that finish one. He should finish that fight, yeah. And it's a dangerous fight for Paddy, because if he wins that fight, everyone's thinking, well, he's lost 6 before. He's supposed to win that fight. And if he loses that fight, he's lost 6, but he's beat you. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's I think it's a lose-lose fight, but I think he gets it done safely. Yeah.
Okay. Ian Gary versus Vicente Luque.
Good fight. Very good fight. I'm gonna go Luque on that fight.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Why do you think Luque gets it done?
I just think the experience and it's just like a different level. Who Gary fought? Magny last, right? Was that his last fight? Magny. Yep. This is a different level. I think once you start getting into them 6s, 7s, 5s, almost it's just a different level of competition. I think Gary's a very good fighter, very, very gifted, and I think he'll challenge for the title one day. But I don't think he's on Luque's level at the minute. He might surprise me, but I'm gonna go Luque.
Can I ask you a question on the Ian Gary thing at the moment? Just because I don't know anything that's gone on behind the scenes or anything like that. I only know from what I've heard predominantly from Ian Gary in terms of his social media posts and all that stuff. The situation where he was training at Renegade in Birmingham, and then he's come out recently and said, oh, Leon and his team don't want me training there anymore. In his words, probably because they're a little bit worried about a future fight between the two of them. Do you think that is understandable, that Leon wouldn't want him training at the gym? Do you think it's harsh? Do you think it shows weakness? Not any of these things. I'm a huge fan of both Ian and Leon. So I like the idea of them training together and iron sharpens iron, all that stuff. But I can also sort of understand the point of view of hey, I'm the champion. I might fight you in a year's time. I don't want you knowing all my stuff and using my training partners to get better.
And also, Luque and Gary train together, obviously.
Yeah.
I think that's strange, and I've never really agreed with the cross training when you can fight, because it takes away that the unknown. It takes away the unknown. It takes away that fear factor. You're picking up reads and stuff like that all from training. I've never really agreed with that. It's like I was supposed to train with Nathaniel Wood years way back, and it's like I always had in my mind, okay, I'll train with you, but we can't fight. If do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be one of them. It'll be one of them. That's how I've always looked at it. I've always told my coach, like, don't really want guys that I might fight in the future training at the gym. Simple as that. So I'm on Rocky's side with that one.
Yeah.
Why are we training together? Why am I like Rocky's like a coach at Renegade, by the way. He's like one of the coaches. He's showing his techniques. Why am I going to give away all my gems to you when you could come and try and take my title? Like,
yeah. No,
you know what I'm saying?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. I mean, you just brought up Nathaniel Wood there as well. He fought recently against Naimov. It was one of those ones. I was actually doing a broadcast for TNT at the time, so I didn't get to watch the fight properly. But it seemed to some people a bit controversial. It seemed like Naimov obviously won on points, but there was, I think, 2 low blows, some fingers in the gloves, all these different things. Like, did you see that fight, and do you feel like Nathaniel was hard done by on that fight?
I don't think he was hard done by. I think he got beat fair and square. Not fair and square. Definitely not fair and square. He got beat every round, but there was definitely fouls that the ref should have picked up on. Maybe if the ref was a bit harsher, further fouls wouldn't have happened. But I think because he lost every round, it was like, can you really say he was hard done by? Do you know what I mean? But I do think he looked good in the last round, and I think if he would have pushed the pace earlier on, he would have finished that fight. I think he's better than Naimov. I think he should have won that fight. But as athletes, we all have bad days. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think it's just a bad day in the office for him. It's just one of them days.
Yeah. And in terms of like just the fouls and stuff, I feel like in general in the UFC, it's like you might as well cheat a little bit, because it's very rare that you see people have points taken off of them. Or like, I know in the Leon Edwards fight against Usman, the second fight, he had point taken off of him, I think, and was maybe returned to a position where he'd grabbed the fence or whatever.
That was Goddard, right? Was that Goddard?
Might have been. I can't remember.
There's some referees that are like very strict on it and very good referees, and then you'll have some other referees that are just like not really picking up on it. And I think this was a case of that. It needs to be spread across the board evenly, like properly, and you should be getting like the same level of reffing each fight. But I think that's impossible. But yeah, that's how it should be, really.
But do you ever think, do you know what? I might as well throw in a little fence grab or a ball kick here, because I'm probably he's going to say, like, if you were tired, the chances are you're not going to get points out. If you're tired, just go, I'll just land one right downstairs on him. Because all the ref will do is separate us. I'll get a few minutes to recover anyway, which I need. And then, I mean, it just seems like cheating's almost like, well, you might as well.
Yeah, you're right. They definitely need to pick up on some of these things and give harsher penalties and stuff like that. I think some of the fence grabs are like reactional, though. You don't actually mean to sometimes. You get what I'm saying? So it's hard to like differentiate that from purposely cheating and accidental. You know what I mean? And even the groin strikes. But I feel like reoccurring, you should definitely get a point taken away.
Yep.
And lastly, Lerone, you've mentioned Rocky already. How's that fight with Colby going to go down?
That's a good fight. It's a very good fight. But I think if MMA maths doesn't make sense, like to say, but I think if you go off Colby's record, lost 2 fights to Usman, Rocky's just beat Usman twice. I can't see anybody beating Rocky for a long time, you know, to be honest, I swear. And that's just like an honest opinion, not even just because I know him. I think he's too well-rounded. Like he's too well-rounded, too smart in there, and he knows how to win. So I can't see him losing that fight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm going to throw one more at you, Lerone, if it's all right, just as the last one before we go, and I hope people were hearing all the fireworks and able to stick with us with all this. But obviously in your division, Arnold Allen, Movsar Evloev, how does that one go down?
Very good fight. Very good fight. I feel like Arnie's always been up here. He's always been very high level. But Movsar's got better and better as the years have gone by. I trained with him years ago, and he was like more of a wrestler then. I feel like he's got a lot better everywhere now. But I think, like I said before, once you get into them top couple numbers like 1 to 5, I think it's just a different level. I think Arnold's been in there with better fighters. I'm gonna go. I think Arnold gets that one done. Probably a decision or something.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to see that as well. Big fan of Arnold on this show, and big fans of you, Lerone. Thank you so much for coming on the show, mate. Really, massively appreciate it. And where will you be watching UFC 295? Are you just going to be at home? You're going to stay up for it, or are you going to kind of wake up and have it on record in the morning?
You know what? I've stopped myself staying up unless it's like one of them. Like, I've stopped myself staying up because it ruins my whole week. If I'm up until 6 and 7 o'clock, it ruins my whole week, and then I don't train the next day and stuff like that. So I kind of just stay off my phone, don't look on social media, and I'll watch the fights replay in the morning. So, and then I can train to my full ability and stuff like that. I'm not losing no sleep, but yeah, I can't wait for them fights. It's a big card, and I'm looking forward to it. Every fight.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Lerone, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been a real pleasure catching up with you, mate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good to see you guys as well. Pleasure to be on here. Thank you.
No worries. Right. Shall we leave it at that, Stu?
Yeah.
We'll see you later, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.